Hi, Next Exchange, Vivian here. Personal freedom is one of the most liberating things that you can establish in your life. There are several keys that lead to personal freedom, but one of the most important things that will help you to create personal freedom for yourself is to stop explaining to people. Let your decisions that you make be your decisions that you make, and take full responsibility for those decisions that you make. It's your life. And so it's up to you to decide the things that you feel like you want to do or that you want to stop doing. All of that is on us. And so, because we are really solely responsible for our lives, we should take full responsibility. And that means making our own decisions and stop explaining to people. There might be a time where you may want to explain to a person because somehow your decision may impact them so significantly. So then there's a time to be respectful and you give an explanation. But for most things, you don't owe anybody any explanation. Your no is no, your yes is yes. And the things that you decide to do are the things that you decide to do. Because in the end, you will be the one primarily that will benefit from the personal decisions that you make and will also reap the consequences of the personal decisions that are made for you. So, one reason to stop explaining yourself is that it's tiring. It drains all of your energy to always have to explain yourself to people, to explain why you're doing this, to explain why you're wearing this, to explain why you said no, to explain this. It's draining, feeling that you owe someone an explanation. And when you start explaining, it's so tiring because you set up a situation where you have to defend yourself. Because now you're explaining, and now you have to defend that because now the person is going to engage you. And you really just set yourself up for a debate about something that is really no one else's business. It also puts you in a position where you're seeking approval or you're seeking permission. That's kind of what explaining is, because you kind of, you want the person to say it's okay. You want the person to get on board with what, the decision that you've made for yourself, when really, in fact, they really have nothing to do with it other than the fact that now that you're explaining yourself, you're inviting people into your business, and you're also inviting other people, free reign to make decisions for you. So that's one reason. Another reason to stop explaining yourself is that it disempowers you. It's not empowering to explain yourself. You are, an adult, and you're making these decisions for yourself, based on your life experiences and your knowledge and just, what you know about yourself as a person. Nobody knows you better than you. So when you start explaining, it just disempowers you. It strips you of that personal power that you have, and it kind of puts you in a childlike state. It's debilitating, to have to be in that position. And you have to make your decision, and you stand in that decision. And when you say yes with no explanation, or you say no with no explanation, or you just, say what you've decided to do with no explanation, you will be amazed how empowered that you feel. That you didn't feel like you had to justify yourself to other people about the decisions that you're making for your life. And the third thing that giving people creating the situation where you have to explain. So the third thing where you created a situation where you have to explain is that it brings unhappiness. It brings depression. It brings, kind of a dark cloud over you. Because really, when you're explaining yourself, you're waiting. You're waiting for somebody to make a judgment. You're waiting for them to validate what you've said. Again, you're waiting for permission. And waiting and pining, it brings up feelings of despair and hopelessness. And it's not a happy situation when everybody around you, gets a piece of your life like that, where you now you got to explain to this person, you got to explain to that person, you have to get acceptance from that person, you have to justify to this person, and some people spend their whole life running around trying to get people to buy in to ideas that they're making about their own personal life. And a lot of the people that they're bringing into the situation have nothing to do with it, and people, will jump in, and a lot of people spend their time running other people's life and not attending to their own. So those kind of people, they like it, but it's not good for us to have to explain ourselves. So all of those things, explaining yourself, is not true freedom. It's not. And it just puts you in bondage to the validation of others. So that's one of the first keys to true freedom. Stop setting up situations where you have to explain yourself, where you have to justify yourself, and you start disempowering yourself. No, change that. From now on, don't think about how you're going to make that decision okay, how you're going to smooth over that no so that person doesn't get mad, or so that people like you, or so that everybody's pleased, or so they don't judge you. No, you have to get rid of that type of thinking and get rid of that and stand on your own 2 feet and let your yes be yes, your no be no, and whatever you decided for yourself. Here's a good sentence stem for you. I've decided, and then whatever it is you decided. And that just lets people know, this is what I've decided. It's not I think this, I think that. I've decided that I'm going to do this. And period. And then they know it's not up for debates. It's not negotiable. And that way you will empower yourself, and you will begin or continue in creating true freedom for yourself. This is Vivian here from Next to Change.